In Colombia on Thursday, the meeting for truth for no repetition is underway at the Center of Memory, Peace and Reconciliation. Huge wildfires ravaged Spain's holiday island of Tenerife and burned more than 2,600 hectares of land. West African military chief met in Ghana to coordinate a possible armed intervention to reverse a coup in Niger. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Colombia on Thursday, the meeting for truth for no repetition is underway at the Center of Memory, Peace and Reconciliation. This event is attended by representatives of the international community and national organizations. According to Hela Uran, head of the Unit for Non-Repetition Issues of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, this is a space to questions about the pain of the victims, the legitimization of the suffering of others, and the naturalization of war. Diplomatic corps accredited in Colombia, as well as civil society organizations and the national governments, attend the event. During his speech at the meeting on truth for non-repetition, the foreign minister of Colombia, Álvaro Leiva, stated that the Colombian state has the duty to ensure truth and justice to avoid repeating the violations of international and humanitarian law.
The Colombian state has the duty to ensure, by reasonable means, within its reach, truth, justice, and reparation measures of non-repetition with respect to grave breaches of international and humanitarian law and serious violations of human rights. The GEP is an internationalized institution that does not form part of the ordinary jurisdiction. It draws from external sources. The truth is subscribed to in international treaties. The foreign minister must appear every 3 months before the Security Council so that it can be established whether the implementation is taking place.
Afterwards, Colombian Foreign Minister Álvaro Leiva explained that non-repetition requires new behaviors and putting aside violence.
I gave myself the liberty of somehow baptizing what we have been doing. The unit of the Ministry of Relations for Non-Repetition Measures. It was entrusted to Elena Durán de Gaín, daughter of Magistrate Carlos Durán, victim of the seizure of the Palace of Justice, who went to live in Germany and took very much into account during her time the need for non-repetition, and that is how she studied all the episodes that were called the Nazification of the teaching of democracy, because that is what it's all about. Non-repetition requires new behaviors and putting aside violence, and this is all a science.
Colombian ex-paramilitary leader Carlos Mario Jiménez asked for forgiveness from the societies and the communities where the Central Bolivar bloc operated.
I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have been given to address through these videos the Center of Historical Memory of the country. I celebrate with humility and commitment that after so many years of having laid down my arms, for having been immersed in a fratricidal conflict that has only led to a state of misery and pain, I'm allowed to appear today on this stage. It is for this reason that I can address this stage of truth, of history to the victims first and foremost, and to Colombian society to sincerely ask for forgiveness for the damage caused to society and to the communities where the Central Bolivia Bloc operated, which was the largest structure in territorial expansion in the country, of which I was the commander.
Also, the former Colombian paramilitary leader, Carlos Mario Jimenez, reported that the government with which they had made a peace pact did not comply with the commitments, and that is why he has been deprived of his freedom for more than 17 years.
I have been deprived of my freedom for more than 17 years. I have been sentenced abroad and in my country as a result of my direct involvement in the regular group I commanded as a counterinsurgent, or because the government that we had agreed the peace didn't fulfill its commitment of no extradition, being sent abroad, the top commanders, including me, to silence the truth.
Ecuador is getting ready for its general elections next August 20th. Previously, we presented profiles of candidates Jan Topic from the country with Alfred Allens and Daniel Noboa from the National Democratic Actions. This time, we are presenting the profile of the candidate whose some survived are placing today in the second place. His name, Otto Sonnenhellners, but who is him? Our correspondent Elena Rodriguez tells us the answer.
40-year-old Otto Sonnenhellners is a businessman and radio broadcaster from Guayaquil. He was vice president of Ecuador between December 2018 and July 2020. At that moment, he was a new face on the political scene.
Fue el vicepresidente de Lenin Moreno, que tiene escrito en la frente traidor.
He was vice president of Lenin Moreno, who has traitor written on his forehead. And it's very difficult to read the people around him with a dozen tattooed on his forehead, which was not only a betrayal of the political project that brought him to power, but also a betrayal of the people, because everything they both did in the government, Lenin Moreno and Sonnenhellners, was aimed at transferring power to the elites and institutionalizing the country.
As vice president, he played a leading role during the COVID-19 pandemic, and when the country was at its most critical moment, he resigned his position.
It is very difficult to dissociate himself from having escaped from power when he was unable to give a concrete response to a situation that was one of the most painful for the people here. That is, let us remember that the neglect and opportunism that prevailed at the time led to the people dying in suites in their homes and to Ecuador being recognized as one of the countries in the most critical condition in terms of public policy at that time.
He's running for the presidency under the Let's Up coalition, which brings together the Suma and advanced parties. In his speech, he's careful not to pigeonhole himself on the left or on the right.
That's why with us there will also be prosperity for the families, peace in the streets, money in the homes, prosperity for the family that needs the state to guarantee its education, its health, its security, the family that needs to live in a country that gives them hope, here in their own land, not somewhere else.
Sonnenhellners is an economist by trade. He recently received a master's degree in public administration from Harvard. His campaign proposal is based on 5 axes with special focus on security and social investment.
According to the numbers that I have been able to analyze, Sonnenhellners could be competing for a second place, and it could be a hectares if he were to be on a runoff elections against the Citizen Revolution, because he could pull together a large coalition to confront the Citizen Revolution.
The Citizens' Revolution movement is represented by Luisa Gonzalez, who, according to the Federal Service, has at present around 30 percentage points of voting intention versus almost 12 points for Sonnenhellners. His running mate, Erika Paredes, is a newcomer to the political scene, but not to the public arena. She has a degree in international affairs and has worked for the United Nations organization. On August 20th, more than 13 million Ecuadorians will go to the presidential election to elect their new representatives from among 8 candidates.
Elena Rodríguez, teleSUR Ecuador.
Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. A strong earthquake shocked the Colombian capital, Bogota, on Thursday, setting off sirens and sparking brief panic on the streets, but apparently without causing injuries or material damage. According to the Colombian Geological Survey, the quake reached a 6.1 magnitude, while the U.S. Geological Survey reported it at 6.3. The Colombian agency informed that the earthquake struck at 12:04 p.m. local time, with its epicenter in the town of El Calvario in the center of the country, 30 kilometers southeast of Bogota, and was followed by a 5.9 magnitude aftershock.
Too strong. We were all in the mall. I was in the food court. We all evacuated at once. But the truth is, as you can see, everybody's scared. It has shaken twice already.
It felt super hard, but first of all, I kept calm to be able to advise our clients to evacuate in the best way. First of all, I kept calm, but the earthquake felt very strong.
It started to shake hard. Things started to fall. We immediately went out to the streets. Yes, it was strong. Calling family members, children, that they are well.
In Spain, the huge wildfires ravaging the holiday island of Tenerife that has burned through more than 2,600 hectares of land is the most complex blaze to hit the Canary Islands in 4 decades. The fire, which broke out late on Tuesday, has been raging through forest areas with steppes running in the northeastern part of the island, which is a part of the Spanish archipelago that lies off the coast northwestern Africa. So far, the blaze, which has a perimeter of 30 kilometers, has destroyed more than 2,600 hectares, affecting some 7,600 people, many of whom were evacuated, authorities said in a morning update. Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu met with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko on Thursday during the first visit to Belarus by the Chinese Defense Ministry since Russia's special military operation in Ukraine. During the meeting, Lukashenko noted that Belarus depends mainly on friends such as China and Russia for military aid. He also expressed cordial greetings to Chinese President Xi Jinping. Li arrived in Minsk a day after attending a Moscow conference on international security in Russia, where he said Beijing will strengthen military cooperation with the Shanghai Cooperation Organizations, an economic and security group led by China and Russia.
Your current and first visit to Belarus, and I hope not the last one, is very important for Belarus. I want you to know that all of our cooperation is very important. We have never kept it secret from anyone. By no means will it be directed against third-party countries. We don't need that. We need to keep our states and our people safe. The main views on the present and future world order are absolutely the same in the People's Republic of China and in Belarus. We have been showcasing this with you for the past 3 decades.
Russian President Vladimir Putin and Moscow's Mayor Sergei Sobyanin took part on Thursday in a launch ceremony for passengers traffic on Moscow Central Diameter 3. The length of the new MCD3, as it is called, is 85 kilometers, and it has 38 stations, 14 of which are the interchange stations. The new branch is expected to improve the transportation situation in 24 districts of Moscow and 4 cities in the capital region. According to experts, the diameter will be used by more than 577,000 people per day. During the event, the Russian President suggests building high-speed rails linked from Moscow to the Belarusian capital of Minsk and the cities of Donetsk and Luhansk.
Unconditionally, it will be necessary to think about how to connect both Luhansk and Donetsk. It seems to me that this issue should be worked out with the government of Belarus. I will talk with the president. The Minsk direction would be in great demand, both by our residents and the residents of Belarus. Moreover, we are developing the construction of the Union State at a good pace.
A senior UN official expressed her concern about reports related to the transfer and use of cold-turned munitions to Ukraine. Addressing a Security Council meeting called by the Russian Federation on the transfer of weapons to Ukraine, the United Nations Under-Secretary General and High Representative for these Marine Affairs, Usimid McKinsey, said that the influx of weapons and ammunition into any armed conflict can contribute to the escalation and presents a significant risk of diversion and proliferation even after the conflict has ended.
Related to the transfer and the use of cluster munitions are very concerning. Spokesperson of the Secretary General has called for these types of munitions to be consigned to history and not to be used. The influx of weapons and ammunition into any armed conflict can contribute to the escalation and presents significant risks of diversion and proliferation even after the conflict has ended. Measures to address the risk of diversion of weapons and ammunition to unauthorized end users and for unauthorized uses are essential for preventing further instability and insecurity in Ukraine, the region, and beyond. I call on states to consider joining relevant treaties and agreements and to fully implement their legal obligations under conventional arms control instruments to which they are party, as well as their political commitments to minimize the risk of diversion of arms and ammunition.
Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you will be able to watch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. On Thursday, West African military chief met in Ghana to coordinate a possible armed intervention to reverse a coup in Niger, as Germany called for European Union sanctions against rebel leaders. Alarmed by the series of military takeovers in the region, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has agreed to activate a standby force to restore the constitutional order in Niger. ECOWAS is demanding Niger's coup leader release President Mohamed Bazoum, warning that a blood coup sending troops at last resort of negotiations fail.
That the purpose of our gathering is not simply to react to events, but to proactively chart a course that preserves peace, promotes stability, and upholds democratic principles across our region. We must remember that our collective actions today will shape the legacy we leave for future generations. Our task as the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff of ECOWAS states is to ensure that our responses to this crisis are not driven by fear, but by the principles of justice, respect for human rights, and the unwavering commitment to the rule of law. We must strive to uphold the integrity of our institutions, protect the sovereignty of our states, and safeguard the democratic rights of our people.
Determination that I want to put across here as we meet today to fine-tune and then also to plan about the timing, about order. Meanwhile, we are still giving diplomacy a chance. The ball is in the court of the junta, the CNSP, in Niger. If they pull back from the brink, the military option will not be necessary. But we want to warn them that all options are on the table, and no option is off the table.
Iran's foreign minister makes his first official visit to Saudi Arabia since the two countries agreed to restore diplomatic relations in March. Leading a high-level delegation, Hussein Amir Abdullahian arrived in the Saudi capital Riyadh on Thursday for a one-day visit at the official invitation of his Saudi counterpart, Prince Faisal bin Fahad. Upon his arrival at Riyadh International Airport, the Iranian diplomat ship was received by a number of Saudi authorities. In South Africa, after a two-day meeting and month of negotiations between 7 opposition parties, the multi-party convention agreed to work more closely as the countries head towards elections in 2024. During the ceremony, leaders of the various parties signed the multi-party charter, which will pave the way to access the ruling African Nation Congress led by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The leader called on different parties that were not part of the group to reach out and join their efforts in making sure that the ANC is removed from power, claiming that the country is being misgoverned and the rule of law not respected.
A moment for South Africa. This is the first in the modern era of South Africa that coalition is cobbled together before an election campaign.
The foundation laid by this group over the past 3 months has laid the foundation upon which a new government can be built, one which is stable and that can address the pressing needs of all South Africans.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook and Twitter and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.